Hello, in just a moment, the press preview as we take a look at the morning newspapers. First, there are top stories this evening. Sky News has found children as young as 4 working in cobalt mines in the Democratic Republic of Congo for as little as 8 pence a day. The mineral is used in smartphone batteries. Sir John Major has criticised Theresa May and warned that the British people have been led to expect a future outside the EU that is unreal and over-optimistic. And the inquiry into child sexual abuse has been urged to name and shame the perpetrators of abuse and exploitation of British children sent to Australia after the Second World War. Well, hello there, you're watching Sky News and the press preview. In the next half hour, we'll see what's making the headlines with the consultant editor of the Daily Mail, Andrew Pearce, and the associate editor of the Daily Mirror, Kevin Maguire. Welcome to both of you.
Back in the new studio.
Lovely. A lot of cleaning for those windows.
Volunteering.
Luckily, it's not your problem right now.
Get you some window lean and duster.
Front pages are your problem, so let's take a look at those. The Eye, reporting on the former Prime Minister Sir John Major's criticism of the government's Brexit negotiation tactics. Former UKIP leader Nigel Farage has harsh words about the party's only MP, Douglas Carswell. That's according to The Telegraph. The Express reports that EU migrants who settle in the UK after Article 50 is triggered won't be given the automatic right to stay. The Guardian says Donald Trump will announce a $54 billion increase in defence spending in his first speech to Congress, even though America isn't at war. So-called low-risk paedophiles shouldn't necessarily be jailed, according to a senior officer quoted in The Times. A man who's admitted the murder of a couple outside a Matalan store is understood to have Googled the phrase 16 steps to kill and not get caught before the killing. That's in the Metro. The Financial Times says a proposed merger between the London Stock Exchange and its German counterpart has hit a snag. Daily Mirror reports that the man convicted of burgling Simon Cowell killed a motorcyclist in a hit and run just days later. The BBC's Director General apparently wants reassurances that vulnerable people aren't being harassed by TV licensing enforcers. That's after an investigation in the Daily Mail. The Sun claims female RAF cadets will soon be banned from wearing skirts. And The Star leading with the spectacular gaffe that saw La La Land wrongly named Best Picture at the Oscars, which I'm sure we'll be coming to in a moment. So Andrew Pearce, Kevin Maguire are here, and it is to The Sun, inside pages, May versus Major.
Yeah. Hello.
Or Major versus May, as it says there.
Remember him, John Major? No.
Did you just do an impersonation of his accent? Go on, do it again.
Hello.
No, that's not good. Anyway.
It's sort of, you know.
Sir John Major to you.
Only to you, because I don't recognise titles. Anyway, a devastating attack on unreal and over-optimistic Brexit from Major. Theresa May won't welcome it because it was really quite damning, saying a hard Brexit will leave a lot of communities worse off. It would undermine the NHS because so many people come in to work in it from Europe. Also, he said, needs less rhetoric and more charm in the negotiations. She won't like that at all, because the attacks that always hurt you most are from your own side, and that is a real blue-on-blue assault. And he had big problems when he was Prime Minister with his own cabinet. Brexiteers, we'll call them. It was something else beginning with B that he used.
You'll have to look that one up, I think.
But I thought it was a terrific speech, actually. It was well argued. Blair's was well argued, but we voted for Brexit. We're going to have Brexit unless some people change their minds.
There is a huge irony, isn't there? I mean, Kevin refers to it, but there's a massive irony in the fact John Major's premiership, after he won the unlikely election victory in 1992 when he saw off Kinnock, hurrah for that, that his entire premiership was then bedevilled by rows over Europe with his own side. He took us into the Maastricht Treaty. There was a great battle royal over that. And he was seriously damaged. And I can remember being at a press conference in the general election campaign in '97, and he was talking to the cameras, but he was talking about his MP, saying, don't tie my hands behind my back in my negotiations. That's exactly what he's trying to do with the Prime Minister, Theresa May. He's trying to tie her hands behind her back when she goes into those negotiations. Look, Article 50 is just a process bill. It enables her to start the divorce proceedings, and then she gets stuck into the negotiations. And she said she will put it to the vote in the Commons when she gets back. I believe her.
But that's all
I believe
irrelevant. The
her.
bit that he minds the fact that we've moved from the single market.
Well, that's called Brexit.
Yeah, but,
it's not a hard Brexit.
But isn't that one of
It
the
is
things
hard
you could have
Brexit.
taken
It's
to
not
the
hard Brexit.
negotiation
No.
and then
We have the
returned?
customs union as well?
Yeah, but I'm sure we will be.
Yeah, we are. It's getting very hard.
It said it was very clear in the referendum campaign, vote Leave, Leave.eu, whoever it was, we were going to come out of the single market because we are coming out of the single market. We don't want to be paying all these vast amounts of money into you. We want to do trade deals outside the single market with the Commonwealth, with the United States, with Japan and China. The first traders will have done
America
since we
first.
entered the common market.
He also says that the 48% who did not vote for this are entitled to have a say and to shape the argument, and they're being dismissed as Bramonas
not.
at every...
Yes, you do.
No, they're not. He's a Ramona. He's a Ramona.
There we are. Thank you very
He's a
much.
Ramona. Along with his mate.
That didn't take long, did it?
Along with his mate Michael Heseltine. Michael Heseltine, let's just
Come on.
remind ourselves about Michael Heseltine.
see,
Sat on a platform in 1999
time.
with Blair, oh my God, who'd want to share a platform with him? Ken Clarke, the only Tory MP to vote against triggering Article 50, and told us if we didn't join the euro, Britain's economy would go to hell in a handcart. Hello, the economies that have gone to hell in a handcart are the countries like Italy and Spain that joined the euro. Why should we listen to him now? They were wrong then, they're wrong now.
And every time anybody doesn't try to tie Theresa May's hands, it's guide her hands.
No, he's trying to tie them.
It's guide
Yeah,
her
yeah,
hands
yeah.
in the
He
negotiation.
wants a second referendum.
You immediately dismiss them, and he's making the point.
He wants a
48%,
second referendum.
nearly half of the population who voted to remain are as patriotic and as entitled
they
to
are.
have a view
Half
and
of
be
you.
listened as much
Half
as
from you.
those who are. You see, you're making
Well,
the
you're not very
point.
patriotic.
You're making it wonderfully.
When do you sing
You're
God Save
making
the
it
Queen?
gloriously. I want Britain to lead in Europe, not leave it. Nevertheless, the vote was lost. And if you think just singing the God Save the Queen makes you
You're
patriotic,
no patriot,
makes
mate.
you
You're
patriotic.
no patriot,
You're
Maguire.
a plastic.
You're
you're,
no patriot.
You're a plastic patriot who will
Yeah.
hide behind
Anyway,
waving a flag and
But
singing
I
God
think
Save the
when
Queen.
John Major reads the papers in the morning, he might just remember how awful it was for him when he used to open the papers and it was filled with attacks on him. And he used to say to the bees in his cabinet and on the back benches, "Don't do it in public." Why has he done it in public?
Oh, back to
He's
basics.
waited since June to do it, to be fair. He's held his counsel for quite a long time.
How many times did he come out during the referendum and tell us we've got to stay in Europe? It'll be terrible. The economy go to hell in a handcart.
can't remember. Are you gonna tell me?
I think we are now.
No, but
I think we are now. We've got the highest growth predicted for the entire G7 this year.
It was still in. We're still in the European
Yeah, but we were
Union.
meant to be having a massive
Andrew,
economic shock
we
because
are
of voting
still
to leave.
in.
Kevin, it was the governor of the Bank of England, no less, said there'd be a major shock if we voted to leave.
Okay.
There wasn't a major
We're
shock.
still in.
So let's move on to another party which is wrestling with its identity, having,
I
of
love
course,
it.
won
Well, hang
the
on.
EU
Can I just say,
referendum.
as a headline, it is not the most original headline. I'm not criticising the Telegraph here. They've got a good story here. But UKIP at war. Hello? Again.
Nigel Farage has written for,
It's Farage,
for the...
It's Farage.
Well, it doesn't matter what... Nigel F. has written for the Telegraph, in which he's being his normal moany self, and he wants Douglas Carswell, their only MP, kicked out, accusing him of disloyalty. Now,
They've never got on there, as you said.
because
Yeah.
one was successful and got elected to Parliament, and the other one tried 7 times and didn't.
So what's the problem? What's stirred this one?
What has got them going now, the Farage lot, is it is said Carswell stopped him getting a knighthood. And what I think is, hang on, Farage is always attacking the establishment, the elite, the political class, and he wants an establishment, an elite, a political class knighthood. He's yearning for it.
Hang on.
Every bit of his body is straining so he can be Sir Nigel.
Not only-
You cannot get more
Hang
elite
on.
establishment
Not only-
political
not
class
only-
than that.
not only-
What a hypocrite.
Well, all
what a
your,
hypocrite
well, all your
he is.
mates in the House of Lords, by the way, Kinnock and Heseltine,
I oppose that.
Prescott and
I
all that.
oppose
lot.
all that. I
Now, can
opposed
just
all
say
them.
about Nigel Farage, not only did he deserve a knighthood, he deserved a dukedom, frankly, for getting us out of the European Union. The only reason we got the referendum was because of Nigel Farage. And the fact is, the story we think is this. 2 UKIP peers put Nigel Farage up for a knighthood, which he richly deserved. He wasn't put up for a peerage, a knighthood. And the
Brexit elite.
suggestion is, because the leader of the parliamentary party has to endorse it, Carswell is the leader of the parliamentary party by virtue of the fact he's the only one, and he blocked it. Now, he's denying he blocked it. Farage is saying he... But what this means is the UKIP battle royal is going to run...
Every Farage attack on the elite and the establishment is a fraud. When he has parties thrown for his honour in the Ritz, he flies around the world.
How many Labour MPs have got knighthoods? How many Labour MPs
and he's
take
now
knighthoods?
Desiring to be Sir
How many
Knight.
of your
It's
lefty
pathetic.
mates take knighthoods
He
at
should
peerages?
shut up about this. He's making a fool of himself.
He's not.
Yes, he is.
Let's move on to his
He was
mate
Man
then,
of the
shall we?
Year last year, and quite right.
Yeah,
Man
your
of the
man of the
year.
year. There we are.
He
Great.
was. He was voted Man of the Year by
A news agent, yeah, somewhere.
by Time magazine, wasn't it?
No.
Well, it was some.
that-
Well, it was a
He was
magazine,
nominated.
yeah.
He was
Yeah.
nominated.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Donald Trump.
Fake
I
news.
thought Donald
Fake
Trump
news
won it.
again. Oh, talking of fake news.
Well,
Yes.
now look, he's proposing a huge increase in defence spending, 43 billion, tanks, ships, weapons system, cutting foreign aid. Could we do that here, please? Cut foreign aid. Environmental programmes, domestic agencies. It's upset the Democrats and the whinging Liberal elite, but actually this is what he promised he would do in his election campaign. And although Donald Trump is a bit mad and we think he's deranged at times, but why don't we, for once, if he's doing what he said he would do, support him?
Yeah.
That's what he said he would do, and it's probably popular. He said he wants Americans to feel safer. And actually, Britain's got a very big defence.
ban guns.
We could do. Well, I agree with that. We could benefit from this.
But this, I mean, he remains a nasty, divisive, racist, sexual predator.
Have you
right?
got that on a save get?
No,
I mean,
no.
it's just like a long
But he is.
record, that.
But what a waste of money when the US already spends more on defence than the next 8 countries combined: China, Russia, Britain, Japan, Saudi Arabia.
But
It's ridiculous.
There was,
It's a
there was a lot
ridiculous
of
waste of
concern
money.
that once Donald Trump came in, that they would cease to be the world's policeman, and that's a role that America has played.
Yeah.
And actually,
And he's spending
possibly
this
brought
money.
some stability.
Yeah,
to the,
and
to the
also,
roles
Anna,
of
he's
police.
spending this money because so many countries in NATO do not spend the NATO target of 2% of GDP on their defence, and also they don't pay their bills for NATO.
Yeah.
America's been paying the bill along with Britain and a couple
I
of
can
other
say other
countries.
countries should pay their
They should.
2%. But this, if I was in America, you would have more influence if, with your aid program continued, and you stabilise countries rather than allowing them to become unstable
never gonna
and
win
then
a
trying to bomb them into order, which
we
doesn't
pour
work.
money down the drain. with
No,
our
you
international
We must take a
programme.
break. Lots more still to come. All the stories we haven't got to in your list, which is quite long. We'll look at, that's the both of you. And we'll take a look at the Oscars, obviously, that farce. And skirts are out, apparently. Back with that in just a moment. Welcome back to the press preview, taking a look through the newspapers in the company of Andrew Pearce and Kevin Maguire. Let's go to your paper, shall we, in the Daily Mail.
Tony Hall.
Licence fees.
Yeah, Tony Hall, the Director General of the Beeb, has written to Capita, the outsourcing, the privatisation company, who's got a 59 million quid contract to collect the fee. He was accused in the Mail today of putting the screws on vulnerable people to pay up.
Scandalous.
It is an issue when people don't pay, because I think it's about 250, 300 million quid isn't collected. The rest of us who are paying £145.50 then have to cover that gap. However, you've got to be sensitive with people who have mental health issues or really just don't have any money. There's no point taking them to court and fining
And
them.
the Mail's revealed that these dreadful people are on huge commissions to get more and more people into court, give people a hard time. And he said, what was it? They take the guy saying, I take shirt buttons off them if necessary.
Yeah,
Scandalous.
it should never have been privatised. It should be back in-house.
Just got to give a plug to
sensible.
my colleague Baz Bowie. Fantastic. He's had a great chat with the two. Well, Warren Beatty, everyone wants to know what he's got to say. I want to ask Baz, though, would his face have moved when he talked to him?
Oh, Baz's face?
Warren Beatty's.
All right.
I used to have such a crush on him, so I won't
now.
I wouldn't heard a word.
Baz or
said.
Warren?
Warren.
Well, I just want to say that. You've got to check.
A lot of people
yeah.
have a crush on Baz.
We'll come to the Oscars very shortly. Lots to say about that, but let's go to the lead story for the Times. Don't lock up low-risk paedophiles. This will be a massive talking
I
point,
predict
won't
this will cause a firestorm, actually. So Simon Bailey is a very important police officer. He takes the lead on child protection at the National Police Chiefs Council. He says paedophiles who view indecent images should not be given any criminal sanction at all.
Wow.
They should be given counselling unless they pose a physical threat to children. Hang on, it's the gateway, isn't it, where they start looking at this stuff that then encourages them to go further. Paedophilia is paedophilia. I'm sorry, I hear why he's saying it. He says prisons are overcrowded, the police can't cope. But paedophilia is a problem that we were only dimly aware of when we were kids. We're massively aware of it now. And what an irony. He's saying this on the very day the historic child abuse inquiry finally starts, albeit talking to people who are in Australia. And I think, what will those people think?
I'm a member of that public that will be horrified at what he said. He's Chief Constable of Norfolk. But when you listen to his argument, of course, every image, there is a victim, and it is the child in that image that has been exploited. But it is how do you deal with it when I think in the historic cases, they're expecting 40,000, I think is the figure on the front page of the Times cases. How can you investigate them all? And he's saying you can't. And maybe it is the case that some people who've not actually taken the pictures, have not actually abused their child, but they are caught looking at those images. Maybe there is a way of dealing with them which isn't locking them up. I feel uncomfortable about what he said, but there probably is a debate that has to be had. So I think it's good he's raised it.
We've only got a minute left, if you don't mind, very quickly then, the Royal Air farce, as the Sun puts it.
Well, it's just it's only trousers, apparently, in the RAF because of the increase in transgender personnel, according to sources. Hang on, transgender is less than 1%, isn't it?
Yeah, but
how can that be? How can they be changing a policy because of a part of the population less than 1%? It's a very difficult area and it's very sensitive, but I think sometimes we're overreacting.
I can't get worked up about it. If it's a uniform, everyone wears the same.
Yeah.
No,
so you can all wear trousers. Well, you can wear
I've moved on because we must get to this story. It's so
brilliant.
Become a double-page Times spread.
Yeah, but God, I was going to use the wrong word. The mistake at the
accountants from PwC,
absolutely, yeah.
British, and there they are, posing with their red leather bags, boasting beforehand about how it never goes wrong, never gone wrong in 80. Imagine if it was the Best Actor or Best Actress award that had gone wrong, and they'd been stranded on the stage alone with their Oscar, then to be told they had to give it up.
And because it's an accountancy firm, it makes the front page of the FT, doesn't it?
Exactly. It's a great excuse for them to put it on.
They'll be laughing at Ernst & Young, but if you're going to make a farce on the Oscars and you were going to record
Imagine Donald Trump's
couldn't
revenge.
better this.
Imagine Donald Trump's
We'll
revenge.
have to
Fake news.
See you next week, though. Thank you very much indeed,
Can we come
Andrew,
back to
Kevin.
this nice new studio?
You can. Thank you. See you soon.